GM, welcome to Web3 Academy, a place where businesses, entrepreneurs, and creators can learn how to use Web3 to build thriving business models and sustainable communities. I'm Jay Bird, and as always, I'm coming at you to make sure that you're on the forefront of blockchain technology. Today, we're deep diving. We're deep diving into PBTs. What's a PBT, you ask? Have you heard of PBTs? Well, if you haven't, you're going to want to listen to this show today. PBTs is a new standard developed by the team at Azuki that stands for physical backed tokens. We talked a lot about the potential of blockchain to be connected with physical items, collectibles, luxury goods. Okay, but how are we going to do that? Well, we've seen it a little bit with projects like Nike and Artifact connecting physical items through forging, and you can use an NFT to claim a physical item. But the problem with that is the NFT and the physical item become disconnected. There is no connection between the two. So the Azuki team has gone out and they've solved that with this new standard called PBTs, physical backed tokens. And I'm here to tell you everything you need to know about them, what they are, how they work, and the use cases that they really enable and how that's going to change the future of commerce. This is one of, I'm so stoked on this episode. So stoked to teach you guys this because I really believe that this is the type of real utility that blockchain offers that we will all understand and that will all be like, oh, so many aha moments, so many moments where we believe so much in the future of what we're building that it actually can change the world and make a big difference in terms of making businesses better, making customers' lives better, making everything more efficient, reducing a lot of the waste that we see. It's a total unlock, a total game changer. As you can tell, I'm fired up. I hope you're fired up. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening in. If you enjoy the show and you want to support us in a zero-cost way, would really appreciate if you just take a minute and hit us up with a rating or a review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on, or if you're on YouTube, hit a little subscribe button and make sure you get updated on all of our content. So grateful for you for listening in. And before we jump into today's show, let's just hear a word from our sponsor.
The future of social media is here, and that future lives in Web3 on top of Lens protocol. Web2 social platforms are broken and ripe for disruption. You see, the epicenter of social media is the creators, and yet they are the most neglected. Web2 platforms like Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram are all essentially robbing creators of their worth. Creators are a new type of entrepreneur, forming new types of businesses. Yet with Web2 platforms, creators don't own their content or their profiles, and that's their product and business. Instead, they are tied to the platforms they choose to create on. Well, just like how crypto is freeing us from banks, Web3 is freeing us from these centralized platforms. On Lens protocol, creators own their content, own their profile, and even their social graph and followers in the form of NFTs. This allows you to move freely from one social application to another with your content, profile, and followers moving along with you. Lens protocol enables self-sovereignty for your social graph and interoperability across the internet. At Web3 Academy, we believe this is the future of social, and that's why we've partnered with Lens to ensure that the path of social media is heading in the right direction. Visit lens.xyz to learn more today.
Unlock Protocol is the NFT membership protocol for Web3. Content subscriptions, community access, event tickets are all forms of memberships, one of the most common business models for creators and entrepreneurs today. Building an NFT membership opens many new possibilities for your members. Everything from tailored multi-platform experiences to the ability to sell an unfinished subscription on secondary markets. These are things just not possible in Web 2. However, in order for this business model to work, creators need NFTs which are time-bound or have built-in recurring payments. Unlock Protocol does this for your NFTs. Better yet, with a few simple steps, you can create your own NFT contract without code. What WordPress has done for websites, Unlock Protocol is doing for membership NFTs. If you're an NFT creator, you can't rely on royalties as they are likely going to zero. You need recurring revenue. You need Unlock. At Web3 Academy, we believe NFT memberships are the future of business and community. And that's why we decided to build on Unlock. Learn more at unlock-protocol.com. All right, we're back. And as I mentioned, today we are deep diving on the 4 ways physical backed tokens will change the future of commerce. Physical backed tokens are the next evolution of phygital NFT technology. It enables ownership, authentication, faster legal administration, and brings the digital and physical worlds together. These are just some of the global industries that PBTs will affect. Collectibles such as figurines and sports cards, which had an estimated global value of $402 billion in 2021 and are expected to reach $1 trillion by 2023. Luxury goods such as Louis Vuitton, Chanel, which are valued at $269 billion in 2021 and are expected to reach $355 billion by 2027. And physical assets such as watches and jewelry. The jewelry market alone is worth $37 billion right now. So we're talking about some massive industries that are going to be affected by PBTs. And so in this deep dive, I'll be covering the ins and outs of PBTs, scan to own technology, and what that is and what that enables, and how this will revolutionize commerce. All right, so first up, question on your mind, I'm sure, is what are physical backed tokens? To understand PBTs, let's first talk about phygital. Phygital can be any NFT that's tied to a physical object. For example, a recent podcast guest of ours, Carly Riley, who's the host of Overpriced JPEGs, shared that she plans to airdrop her top supporters an NFT, which can be redeemed for a bottle of gin. Once the token is redeemed, that's that. So once somebody takes the NFT and they redeem it in some way, some mechanism, the physical bottle of gin and the NFT are no longer linked. So I would get, let's say I had that NFT, I'd get it in my wallet, and then I'd redeem the physical bottle of gin, I get that, but now they're not linked. So sure, I, as the holder of that NFT, I could show that I redeemed the NFT. I could show probably on chain that I did that, and making it likely that that bottle of gin that I got is the actual bottle of gin that came from Carly Riley for me supporting her in her first year of her podcast. But there's no guarantee. The physical item does not have any connection to the NFT. So in most situations, that's fine. Like even in this case, it might be fine. But let's say that Carly's gin becomes a collectible with long-term value. The problem here is that there's no guaranteed way for the collector to prove its authenticity to the next buyer. That's one of the big unlocks of PBTs, and something Zuki is pioneering through their gold skateboard collection. So PBTs unlock scan to own functionality, meaning that if the physical object is sold, so if in the example above, if the gin was sold, if I collected the gin and then I sold to somebody else, or let's say I gifted it to a new owner, the new owner can scan the same physical object to prove ownership. Once scanned, the owner will receive an NFT in their wallet corresponding to the physical item. Without this link, it becomes difficult to value the physical object since it involves human intuition and biases that are challenging to overcome. Instead, PBT technology ensures there's no broken link between the NFT and the physical object, ensuring its authenticity and history and thus its value. So you're probably thinking, how do PBTs work? Okay, well, PBTs are the evolution of Kong's Halo chips. And Azuki's Discord moderators don't share exactly what this means. However, one moderator shared that the details of the partnership are private on both ends. I think the most accurate thing to say is that we are building in deep partnership with their technology, but this protocol doesn't imply a new chip from Kong. So here's what we do know. Halo chips take an NFC, which stands for near field communication, so an NFC technology to the next level, because unlike standard NFC chips, halos can generate their own digital signatures, which is the reason PBTs can exist. Halo stands for hardware locked smart contracts, and they incorporate the scanning power of an NFC chip with the functionality of blockchain. Boom. If your mind didn't just explode like mine did when I first figured this out, wow, what an unlock. When a Halo chip is embedded in a physical item, it links the item to the blockchain forever, barring the removal of the chip or the non-existence of the blockchain. From what we can tell, Azuki's Bean chip, which is the chip that they created to prove this PBT standard, and Bean stands for Blockchain-Enabled Authentication Network, functions in an extremely similar way. So Chiru Labs, which is the company behind Azuki, they are the driving force behind making PBTs an official ERC standard. So in a nutshell, Chiru Labs describes ERC 5791, which is the PBT standard that they are currently pushing, as a remixed ERC 721 NFT that standardizes how physical NFTs work. And this is what we're all looking for. This is huge. A standard for physical items to put them on chain. Wow. Well, we're sure we'll learn more about the technical side over time. The vital part right now of understanding this technology is what it enables for physical items. So, for example, decentralized item authentication, meaning anyone can authenticate an item. You don't require a specialized authenticator or a art collector who can authenticate the art. It's trustless. It's there. It's all on chain. Ownership history tracking. So you can see who owned it 5 people before you. If you have an item that's a collectible item that's been around for hundreds of years, for centuries, who's owned that? Where's that been? Will you be able to see that? Airdrops for owning a specific item or a collection of them, and token gaining experiences for physical items, not just for digital items, and so much more. So if you have a specific sports card, well, I could token gate you access to, let's say you have a Barry Bonds, who's a famous MLB player, one of the top baseball players, and he's currently on the ballot to be entered in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Let's say you had that sports card. Well, I could say, you know what? Because you have that sports card, you can have access to his Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And it's so exciting to think about the potential here. Wow. Okay, what's next on the horizon? So during our research, we came across an interesting proposal from Cameron Robertson and other Web3 developers. The proposal described a vision for the Ethereum Reality Service, which they're calling ERS, which the development team believes could be the framework that we use globally for high-value movable assets. Cameron and the team believe that ERS could function in a similar way to the ENS, Ethereum Name Service, meaning we'd have one registry for all PBTs. The ERS protocol would be an open source public good, allowing anyone to link an NFT to any physical object with a compatible chip. Why the ERS? Well, it would allow users to mint PBTs alongside other digital assets such as ERC 721 and ERC 20 tokens for streamlined collection launches. Wow. I just boom, boom, boom. I'm so excited about this. Okay, let's talk now. Let's dive deeper. How PBTs will change the way we interact with physical items. PBTs simplify a host of functions that are otherwise extremely difficult to do without a digital linked token. However, we believe that these 4 functions will benefit the most. First, simple authenticity and ownership history verification. 2, flex utility. 3, simpler legal administration for high-end goods. And 4, unlock deeper community experiences. Let's dive into each one of those. First, simple authenticity and ownership history verification. So counterfeit products are an enormous issue worldwide, with experts estimating that 80% of the world has handled counterfeit products, both knowingly and unknowingly. Some estimates value the counterfeit market at $2 trillion annually. That's 3.3% of global trade. In fact, the fake goods market is actually growing faster than the luxury goods market itself, increasing by 10 1,000% over the last 2 decades. Now, on the surface, counterfeit goods only affect the profit margins of luxury brands, but it goes much deeper, with many companies counterfeiting electronics and skincare products, which could lead to serious injuries, or you receiving a product that doesn't actually do what it's supposed to do. It doesn't, it breaks down. It doesn't live up to the standards that you thought you were purchasing when you bought that certain watch or that certain phone or that certain computer, and it breaks down because it's not actually what you thought you were getting. So fake goods and counterfeit products it's an issue that I think we all understand is far and wide. And it also obviously heavily affects secondary sales markets. In Thailand, they have so many high-end fakes that most are indistinguishable from real products. If someone were to sell these counterfeits as the real thing, and many people do, the buyer would have no idea unless they're professionally appraised. Even then, it relies on the knowledge and experience of the appraiser, which they might get it wrong, right? The problem is even bigger when it comes to high-end art. Many valuable paintings and artworks aren't verified by the artists themselves, because often the most high-end paintings, the artist is dead. They've passed away. So instead, we rely on a verification by galleries and expert appraisers. This process is extremely difficult for appraisers, as they have to consider ownership information, the location where the art is held, how the artwork was acquired, the exhibition history, marks and inscriptions, and invoices. Like, you're basically an accountant trying to audit all this information, and then based upon that, make a decision as to whether or not this art is real, which has huge consequences because some of this art is worth millions of dollars. And there's obviously many other factors that lead to a lengthy and expensive process that still doesn't guarantee authenticity. So it's also just as difficult to verify ownership of an item, which can make a substantial difference to the value of an item. For example, any shoes or clothing that athletes wear on the field are more valuable than memorabilia replicas, obviously. So how much would a pair of football boots be worth if Messi wore them versus if they were just another pair off the rack? They could be Messi's exact shoes that somebody forged a signature on, and you think that they were worn by Messi, but if Messi actually wore them, they have much more. Now, let's say, what happens if it was a t-shirt from a championship winning game, that Messi wore after a game? He's wearing, such items represent more than just physical objects. They represent specific moments in time that have value to many collectors. And the only way you can verify authenticity and ownership with 99% accuracy is if the athlete themselves handed the item to you with signed documents and attestations. But there's always the what if factor. Instead, PBTs reduce the need for human appraisal and guarantee the authenticity and ownership history of the item in seconds, taking the guesswork out of appraisal. Just a huge unlock for any collectible item. Flex utility. Human beings are all about flexing. It's a way to establish authority and build connections, but most ways of doing they're seen as cringe. For example, if someone was driving their Lambo, you wouldn't think they were showing off. Instead, you'd probably admire the vehicle, maybe wish you had one. I know I would. And if you don't like Lambos, replace it with whatever item comes into your head that you like. But now, let's say that same person was always uploading onto Instagram pictures posing with their Lambo. The first reaction most people would have is, wow, look at that poser, because it's obvious they're trying to show off their car. On top of this, it's easy to assert that the Lambo picture is rented. Maybe the Lambo is a rented Lambo because there's no good way to prove ownership. The owner could stand there with a receipt, but that's just even worse. Or maybe it's their friend's Lambo. No way to prove. It's kind of like, okay, weird flex, but okay. It's also not just about wealth anymore. We're seeing a shift towards scarcity, and being an insider becomes more valuable than money and assets. That's why PBTs allowing people to showcase all kinds of proof NFTs is a huge unlock. Well-known Web3 native G Money started his clothing label 9DCC for that exact reason. 9DCC's first release is a simple NFC chipped black t-shirt, but its flex utility is extreme. There were only 1,111 NFTs released in the first drop, meaning owners can flex their insider status for having one of those NFTs or one of those t-shirts, which there's a limited number of. On top of this, owners could use these t-shirts to issue their own proof of attendance and proof of interaction NFTs. So not only can owners flex their expensive t-shirts, but they can also flex their network and allow others to flex their POAPs. Talk about flexception. Another way PBTs enable flex utility is in metaverse fashion. A pioneer in this space, MetaFactory, is working on interoperable digital wearables that can only be used across different platforms, but also redeemed for real life products. Fashion is an expression. It's a way for people to show who they really are. So there's no doubt in my mind that clothing PBTs will be a huge industry in the near future. Soon, your digital identity will showcase everything you want others to know about you. You will be able to have a digital item that's the exact same as a physical item. So if you love a certain physical t-shirt or a certain physical pair of shoes, well, you can have the exact same digital item and prove that you own one or the other while only buying one. It's just, it's so amazing to think about this stuff. I am fired up about this. Simpler legal, number 3 way that this is very exciting, simpler legal administration for high-end goods. So legal administration for high value assets can be difficult and expensive. That's why MASTERMIND aims to simplify this process through PBTs and what they call the MASTERMIND Asset Passport, or MAP for short. So it functions slightly differently to PBTs. And we've discussed as it bakes in all the legal requirements into the PBT itself. For example, each MAP NFT comes with legal frameworks for dealing with item disputes, as well as all the verification documents to prove authenticity. Essentially, MASTERMIND includes digital copies of all important physical documents such as invoices, contracts, and all other appraisal proofs we mentioned above. Each MASTERMIND's NFT also comes with certification and warranties from third parties to support an item's authenticity. Some of the items MASTERMIND is turning into PBTs include gold bars. So the bars themselves are kept in an internationally renowned vault, while the NFT, which holds a legally enforceable title, can easily be traded. So now you can trade physical gold bars online. You don't have to go to your vault or go to your bank that secures your gold bar. You can just, boom, you want to trade that gold bar? You can do it seamlessly. And you can do it to anybody in the world. Well, that gold bar still stays put and still stays safe. Fine wines and whiskey. So like gold, wines and whiskeys remain in professional cellars and vaults unless the NFT holder wants to store the item themselves, or if they want to take it themselves. But again, easy to trade. Historic instruments. MASTERMIND has tokenized instruments worth millions of dollars. But the interesting part is the functionality that can be added to the physical object. For example, the NFT could state who is and isn't allowed to play the instrument. So let's say you own one of Beethoven's pianos. Well, you could say, I don't allow anyone to play it, or through the NFT, you could grant access to somebody, and you don't need to be there with them to grant access. You could just do this all on chain. You could on chain transfer them access through a token, which then they take in their wallet and they show up and prove that they have this token, which then gives them access to that physical object. It's just incredible. Not to mention they're also in the middle of tokenizing real estate. It's not clear what their vision of that is and what their version of how they might use PBTs will function in that regard. But I think, just so many exciting things happening in the connection of physical and digital items. And one of the things that's so exciting about this is the way that it unlocks deeper community experiences. NFTs and public blockchains allow brands to create digital and physical experiences for holders of particular tokens. For example, Forgotten Runes, a popular NFT game and NFT collection, recently created a digital Halloween experience for its NFT holders and NFT holders from 10 other blue chip communities. They didn't have to ask for permission from other communities. All they had to do was create the relevant smart contract and announce the experience. Well, the example focuses on purely digital NFTs. The same can be done with PBTs. For example, G Money could reward his top supporters based on how big their own network is. Remember, 9DCC t-shirts allow holders to give out their own POAPs. Alternatively, G Money could also create an experience for 9DCC holders who've attended certain events or hold X number of items. When it comes to PBTs, the way people can create community experiences is pretty much limited by only their imagination. Talking about token gated communities, exclusive Discord channels, real life quests, IRL events, early product access, collaborations, giveaways, so much more. These are just some of the functions that PBTs enable, all in a trustless, permissionless manner. You can imagine as well, one of the things that I think connects us so much as humans is physical objects. It's clothes, fashion in such a big way. If you see somebody who's wearing something similar to you, if you're both wearing the same hat, you both have the same Nike sneakers, instantly there's a connection. You both like the same thing. Wow. Okay, well, now let's imagine that because everybody who owns this pair of Oakley sunglasses, you could say, hey, if you own one of these pairs of Oakley sunglasses, you now have access to this community where it's all other people who own that same thing, who therefore we know you have a bond with. It's just so exciting when we think about the potential around community building, and it extends to pretty much any physical object that we could turn into a PBT. Let the lines be blurred. PBTs have the power to change how we interact with physical items as well as the digital experiences we can create and participate in. They remove the need for expensive and lengthy appraisals, enabling instant guarantees of authenticity. They remove the need for lawyers, paperwork, and bureaucratic red tape, and they can verify the true value of an item without debate. But they're also the key to bringing the digital and physical world closer together. Right now, people spend an average of 400 minutes on the internet each day. But I'd guess that most of that time is spent mindlessly scrolling through social media when your community members could be interacting with your brand. Above all, PBTs remove the red tape that comes with transacting physical goods while enabling deeper community connections. Sounds like a win in my books. Thanks so much for listening, folks. I hope you're as fired up about PBTs as I am. If you have any thoughts, would love to hear any comments, any questions you have. Please either comment on our website on this article itself or join our Discord server, where link in the show notes if you're not already in our Discord, where we have a chat on every podcast where we break it down and discuss it together as a community. Would love to see you there. Thanks again for listening. Have yourself an amazing day and a great week. Keep on smiling. Keep on spreading the joy. Lots of love.
Thank you for listening to Web3 Academy. We hope this helps you along your Web3 journey. And if it does, please share this episode and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Nothing in this podcast was financial advice. Crypto and Web3 can be risky. You can literally lose it all. In fact, if you invest on account of what we say, you probably will lose it all. So don't do that. In all honesty, the point of this podcast is to remove the noise of markets and price and focus on utility and implementation anyway. So you should not take any of this as financial advice. Thank you, friends, and see you in the next one.